Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of the Digital Suffering Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Steven Something.
PhamtomLimb.
Okay. It's a new year. We're all psyched up for all the millions of new games that have been released or will be released, or
New year,
games.
new cheer.
something to talk about. Speaking of new games, first we have Babylon's Fall.
Square Enix. Are they making everything?
Well, Final Fantasy comprises 50% of the releases.
Yes.
Now,
and
the rest of it is also
who's actually making this game? Because it's Platinum Games and Square Enix. Is Square Enix just publishing it, or are they making it?
I assume they'll be publishers then.
Right. So times have changed, and they're just getting their finger in.
Yeah, but didn't they publish?
Yeah, I mean, since like the Xbox 360 era, I think Square Enix has published a shit ton of games.
Yeah, anything that's not Final Fantasy, they've also published. Right, tell the folks at home what Babylon Fall.
So, looks like a third-person action game. Looks like you're some sort of sword-wielding warrior who also has some, I don't know what to call it, energy-based backpack that summons weapons that fight along with you. Is that an apt way of saying it?
In the what's called a part of the trailer,
psychokinesis.
They show multiple characters also having that same glowing thing.
Yeah, it looks like there's 4 your classic archetypes. So maybe there's a woman with a bow and arrow, and or woman with stick, and or man with big axe. It's big man with big axe. Sorry.
Yeah, and maybe the witch doctor as well, but that's probably DLC.
And we're seeing the average guy, the one they always call paladin or rogue or insert crapulent name that means nothing except this guy's middle of the road with everything and not good at much anything. I mean, the enemies, like this video that has been released for the game, looks all very shiny and whatever, but the enemies look a bit slow, a bit.
I'd assume that they probably haven't balanced AI and stuff. It's they just say, right, have the enemy like vaguely react, for the benefits of the trailer.
Well, it's just like Devil May Cry. This is the problem I have with that game as well. The enemies are so docile, so submissive.
Once you stun lock them, that's it.
Even before that, they just stand there and wait to be smashed to pieces.
Which is what people want. They don't want enemies to fight back.
Like, just watching people play, even the most, like, Devil May Cry 5, you'll walk into a room, there's 3 enemies, he'll jump in the air, grab one with some sort of pull grab thing, bolas, whatever.
Yeah.
Launch them into the air with him, cut them a million times, they'll be expunged, and then the other 2 are just standing there going, "Oh, Jeff's getting effed up, isn't he?"
But I never liked Jeff. We'll kick that guy's ass, but after he's beaten Jeff.
But we'll take it in turns. We don't want to overwhelm him
with our powerfulness.
Yeah, like, what are you waiting for? It's 3-on-1 for a reason.
I'm sure the harder difficulties
bollocks. Just bollocks. Yeah, and this just kind of reminds me of that a little bit. There's a fair bit of air juggling as well. So again,
it's very Devil May Cry, isn't
it? Getting a Devil May Cry / old school God of War feel from this.
But then again, Bayonetta, which Platinum Games did, also has air juggling and stuff.
Yes, very true. This is just a reskin then, what we're looking at.
Well, that's great. On to the next one.
To rip it down to its basics. Massive boss as well, as is the.
You want your bosses to be massive.
As is the. Actually, looking at the 4 characters in that section of the video that we've got here, is one of them looks like some sort of pet, almost, with one of these weird energy generating backpacks.
Maybe it's so they can carry all the loot, like
Oh dear.
Dungeon Siege. What's the one where you got the Dungeon Siege? You know, it was the action RPG where you had a thing and you had a donkey that followed you around. Old Microsoft one.
I don't think it was Dungeon Siege, but Dungeon Siege. I only played the first one. And
it was one
now
of those.
they're on like the 6th one, and it's a completely different game.
But yeah.
I'll just
Oh, yeah, it's right. The one on the left is very non-human.
Yeah,
appearance.
it looks almost like a creature with wings that's half the size of a man. And then it's got your paladin/rogue, woman, and burly man.
But no witch doctor.
Witch doctors are out this season. Yeah, it looks interesting. It's coming out on PS4, and it says Steam at the end of the trailer, which is quite interesting. Because it's got to get that PC port.
Yeah, because it's console exclusives.
Yeah, I don't see why though.
But they need to recoup money, so PC.
Like, it's got to be like there has to be more to this game than is shown in this trailer. Otherwise, it will be forgotten with the multitude of games that are very similar.
I've just looked at the website and there's just literally nothing in terms of text.
Yeah.
It says it asks you to select your language, but there's nothing to read. There's
no explanation, no backstory dump.
Yeah, even in a world where people have big swords and glowing energies. Yeah, maybe it's like Dark Souls.
Don't say that. I like the environments. They look very moody, very.
They're all dark thing. It is. We've got bright golden sunlight casting nice long shadows.
Yeah.
It makes it a pleasant place to fight the bad guys.
Yeah, but it's moody as well. It's like overgrown with tropics. It's ruins. It's proper ruins. It's not like the ruins you see in some games. Like, not ragging on that game. What's it called? Where you go around killing all the giants. We talked about it before.
Oh, Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, it's not like that. That looks barren. It looks dead.
But that area is supposed to be dead. It's dead. The area's dead.
The entire game's dead. Never mind the area.
I mean, I'll fight you.
There's
metaphorically speaking.
There's just nothing there.
But it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a wasteland
rock.
where the Colossuses have murdered all the local people and now rule with fists of
not
iron
that.
and stone.
It's not that at all.
But no, it's not. But maybe it's like people were like, "Oh man, there's a giant Colossus over there. I don't want to live here anymore."
Yeah, but it's almost like game developers are finally realising that
you can add incidental.
Yes, if you create a world, then you have to create a world based on what you know.
I'm very sure because in the remake they did for the PS4,
No,
they added animals and stuff. There was,
not as far as I've seen.
I'm fairly sure there were.
Not as far as I've seen.
Right, let's sit through a playthrough.
I'd rather kill myself. Anyway. Yes, Babylon Fall, or Babylon's Fall, rather, not to be misunderstood. Coming to a thing near you. We don't know when, do we?
Unless you've got an Xbox, then it's not.
We don't know when, do we?
Next summer. So this summer.
All right, so 2020.
Summer 2020.
So maybe some more info at E3.
Yeah, hopefully a plot or
which
something.
Is 7 months away. Good times.
Good times, but don't mention any dates. Wow, E3 is actually coming quite quickly.
I've done the unthinkable.
Next up we have
Granblue Fantasy Relink.
Relink, yes.
Not to be confused with one of the other 6 games that they are currently producing.
because they're doing the Square Enix thing. It's like you take your property and you run it through all the various filters to make it profitable.
Like Games, right? I don't know their backstory, but they seemingly have come out of nowhere in the last couple of years. The first time I heard of them, they were putting together a team, as in a group of people to fight under their name for Street Fighter 5.
Really?
Yep, they've got their own team. So like Team Mad Cats, and all the rest of it, Echo Fox, and
so they got themselves an esports team.
Yes,
that's weird.
Yes, they've fully jumped in, and that was like the first time, and that must have been like a year and a half or so ago, and it just appeared out of nowhere. And now this property that we talked about briefly before, where it was originally ironically being developed by Platinum Games, who we were just talking about, but now not.
I'm just looking at the discography. Mostly Japanese releases for...
Yeah.
They popped up 2011 and just like lots of stuff, but they did like do a Dragon Quest game, something for Line, nothing... Oh, they did World Flipper. Princess Connect Redive, which I've heard of. It's kind of a mobile game. Yeah, it's mostly mobile stuff up until very recently. Oh, wait, sorry, let's go consoles. That's more like it. Anubis, Zone of Enders. What? Mars? Didn't that come out? That didn't come out in 2018.
I don't know. The last Zone of Enders thing I saw was 10 years
ago. That
ago.
was PlayStation 2 era, so I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, and then it's like Granblue Fantasy. So yeah, they were very much mobile focused, and only recently they've started to go into the console. Yeah, they've got the Granblue Fantasy Versus, their fighting game, developed by Arc System Works.
Yes, the people who originally bought you Guilty Gear.
Yeah, which looks very, very nice.
It looks weirdly flat but 3D.
Well, it's their engine. I mean, the engine they have for doing anime fighters is like unbelievable, because I've seen it with they did talk about behind, and they could rotate. It's like anime, and then they just rotate the character, and it's like, what the hell? Obviously,
have you seen the new Guilty Gear? Actually, it looks a lot better than the last 5 that have come out in the last couple of years.
I've not really followed. I mean, I know that they've released a few, but they kind of like, since I've not followed them, I can't really distinguish the releases. So
that's fine.
Let's have a look.
I forget what it's called. It's like Strife or something.
I know that the names are always...
They're so dumb. That whole...
it's so hard.
X series got out of control so badly. Accent Core, Triple X Reload. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Let's
now?
have a look.
Yeah, it's like remembering an essay.
Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator.
No,
possibly. That's just too far back. Nothing. Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. Oh, Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah.
Coming out in 2020.
It looks like they've revised the engine finally, and it looks a lot nicer.
I think it's using probably the same engine as they're using for Versus.
Probably. But isn't there also 2 Granblue Fantasy mobile games, or at least one? I seem to remember when we spoke about this a few months ago.
It does sound familiar. I would have to...
I mean, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
This game kind of looks like a bit yet dropped off in a zone, because I watched the anime actually of this, and so you're adventuring, trying to find the ancient. I don't think they call them ancient beasts, but they might.
Yeah.
That this little blue-haired woman can talk to, because she's got powers and she's got a necklace, and she can...
the necklace of ancient beasts talking.
Well, yeah, kind of, and it's like she can then summon them for help.
That's useful.
After they, inevitably they end up battling to some respect, but come to a mutual understanding that they're meant to be pals, and then they adventure on in their flying ship, And it's it's a Japanese anime. It's okay. It's got some interesting ideas, but it's only series 1 that I've seen.
Yeah.
And so far it started well, and did what it loses the plot a little bit to try and flesh out 12 episodes or whatever.
Yeah. Try and cram it all into the.
Yeah. So I mean, this kind of looks like a bit like a third-person action RPG, and then a bit Monster Hunter as well.
Yeah.
You've given. It looks like in the footage they released mid-December, I think there was like a Granblue Fantasy con happened in Japan, and they just dumped loads of footage of the games coming out, including like a 10-minute gameplay of this with some of the new characters, not only the ones seen.
Yeah.
And there's a time limit, so it's a bit like Monster Hunter, and then you have to get through the sort of area and then get to the boss and defeat them, and it's like then you reset back to whatever.
And then you harvest the parts for armor. But it's not Monster Hunter, except for that harvesting parts.
But it looks good. I like it. I mean,
no, it looks very, very nice and dynamic. Definitely reminds me of the old Phantasy Star Online days where you'd run around multiple people, because you obviously have a party that you bring with you.
Yeah.
And everyone's running around just spamming like colourful attacks, and you just swarm any enemy that dares even come anywhere near you.
Yeah, I think it is multiplayer, but you can play single player, and the 3 other people just hang on. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know what the upgrade path kind of would be, if there is one. There seems to be loot and money, so who knows?
It's more likely to be, if you've got characters with locked weaponry, then it's just like, your sword, your weapon has levels. Or
Yeah,
you can add abilities to them or something. That's
it might be
basics.
like the old sort of what they introduced in Final Fantasy, and a lot of games have gone that way, where you stick gems or whatever into your weapons to give them different attack
materia and socketed gems and classic material, stuff like that,
or tempering and because there just seems to be an elemental element to this as well, where you can freeze enemies.
Oh right.
So I've seen freezing and fire, which look insanely good already. So yeah, should be interesting.
Did it any kind of like release date on it or something?
No, not that I know of. And a lot of the stuff that's out there is not in English that I've seen.
Let's have a look. Relink, to be announced in Japan.
Also, there's a thing that it might come out PC, but at the moment it's only
PS4. Yeah.
PS4.
Announced that. Oh yes, I remember this one. Yeah, we mentioned that Platinum Games got kicked off.
Yeah.
And then
it's just nice that we could reconnect with it, because it wasn't just like a dead IP that
It's just
disappeared.
Platinum Games were off. Let's just throw it in the bin.
Because it looked so promising.
Yeah, but I mean, considering the push with the multiple titles for Granblue, I think even if they were going to junk it, they would probably say, okay, we're just going to throw money at a new developer and just have them... we want a game title to be in this style. Yeah, it looks very nice.
I mean, it might be crap, but...
It looks nice.
Yeah.
We have to wait for... Cygames send us a PS4 so we can test it.
Also, like, the variedness of it, I mean, it's all very well and good having an adventure that you play through once and you see it all and do it all and blah. Granblue Fantasy Relink.
Yep, we will revisit that again when Cygames get thrown off their own development of their own title and someone else takes over.
I think the next time we talk about this will either be because it's been cancelled,
or it's global,
or it's coming out.
Yeah.
And we've got a firm.
Oh yeah, remember that thing that we talked about? It's coming out. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it'll be refreshing. Won't it? There's so many games that we've spoken about that like watching that just end up not going anywhere.
Mm.
And you're like, oh. There was one actually that I was watching. It was like a noir sort of 16-bit looking game.
Okay.
And I recently heard that it ran into legal issues with, like, I don't know who it was. I think it was LucasArts or somebody else.
Yeah.
Based on stealing ideas from films. And the game has effectively gone into hiatus. Like,
yeah, until they can work out how to change it just enough to like.
Yeah. And it's just like, what? I mean, I totally. If it's intellectual property, I am 100% that you should protect your own intellectual property, totally.
Yeah.
But if it's fleeting and reverential, that's
maybe it was very close to Grim Fandango.
No, I don't.
Because that's a film noir.
I'm not sure it was. I'm not sure it was even LucasArts, or maybe I'm misremembering. But it was something. It was one of those. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And they shat all over the little guy because essentially the game was just an independent.
Yeah. If you ain't got powerful lawyers, then
forget it.
Yeah. If you can't I mean, you may be legally right, but if you can't challenge it, then technically you're wrong.
Like YouTube when you get a content strike.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this isn't this. No. This isn't.
They say the person giving the content strike is allowed to decide whether or not you have a valid case.
They are the judge, jury, and executioner of that.
How does that work? Because then they just say no.
Yeah.
And you have no comeback.
How does it work? Because YouTube don't want to do any work themselves.
Apparently, they've changed the policy recently to make it slightly less. So it's slightly less trolly for the. People can't like do. It's hard. It's
interesting
to do the false claims. A bit harder, but I don't know what difference it's going to make.
I'll believe it.
We will see the next time we get a context strike.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I'm not getting trolled.
Yeah. But yeah, all those content strikes, they got removed from our channels. You know, the ones. So we're content strike free now. Yes, and the content strike was actual bullshit. So we need to start copying. Let's start throwing in clips. No. It was actual bullshit. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah. They're no rights. But the YouTube system is stacked in an awful fashion. So yeah, it's the person who makes the complaint. Yeah, it gets to decide whether their complaint is valid. Yeah, I'm right. My complaint is valid. Malicious behaviour be right, yo. Cool. On to the next. Let's move on to the next one. Final next game is Punishing Grey Raven. This popped up on my radar back in 2019. It's currently in open beta for China, and it's very close to release date apparently. Highly stylized arena combat style, third-person action adventure thing. Would you call it arena combat? You spawn into a area. Enemies spawn in. You hack them. Once all the enemies are dead, the level ends. Oh, I thought you moved on to the next bit. No. The thing. I mean, the rooms. You may have like one area and you move into another room, but it's only going to be a few. You know, the areas are very, very small, contained arenas. Essentially, right. It's all dressed up with furniture and obstacles and stuff. But I thought it was like Final Fight or something. You start one area, you travel through fighting. Yeah. No, it is going to be like that. But literally, it takes. This game is very similar to Honkai Impact, which I've played a fair bit of, and for that game, you sort of start in an area. You might clear a room, and like you complete each level takes about 2-3 minutes to complete max. So it's very snack sized because the targets platform is mobile, where you might only have a few minutes at a time to play levels. So you can't be stuck like 10 minutes against the boss and say, well, I got to get off the train now, so I can't interrupt the game. So they designed it very specifically, and it's very snack sized gameplay, but it's highly visualized and it's very action orientated, even more so than Honkai. The enemies in the videos we've been watching, especially for the high level player, you have to be moving a hell of a lot to be avoiding attacks and stuff, and it's like you're going to be like on your little phone going dodging
that is like I can't see like my brain keeping up with it because I need that force feedback. Where I am on a controller, where the buttons are under my hand.
That is going to be a problem. I do intend to. I'm possibly going to do is I'll capture some footage. I'll download the beta and grab some stuff for us to display to the viewers. I'm going to try and put an emulator and configure the gamepads because for the most part it appears to be fairly gamepad friendly, unless that the control area for attacks, if it's dynamic, then it's going to be a problem because on the emulator you like position hotspots and you say right when you press a button on the joypad, it's like simulates a press in that area on the screen, and if the fighting is dynamic, so the actions move around when you press it, it's going to be like pressing a bit on the screen where the attack is no longer there. I've had that on some things whereby it's like 15 buttons. There's like millions, like special attacks, block, dodge, and the joypad only has a finite number of attacks. And I'm like, so I'm having to think, move my hand, click on the mouse, click on bits of the screen, back to the joypad, and it's like that's very hard to play. And for a game with this kind of like pacing, as the fight sequences are very, very fast paced. If it doesn't, that's going to be a problem. However, it does appear that they have a PC client, which means that, again, if it's tailored, as long as it's not keyboard mouse, because this kind of game would be weird keyboard mouse. It should be gamepad friendly, which I'm hoping that will be a thing. But yeah, the reason I brought this game up was because I heard one of the streamers I follow mention that because it was the open beta was coming to an end, so they were planning to do a release, and I thought, so that means global, right? Except I can't find any news of this, so it might be a wait still. But considering the hype that this game is getting, especially in sort of mobile circles, they'd be fools not to push for a global release as soon as possible, really.
Well, also if it's actually coming out on PC, which it seems to be, the official website.
It's a PC client, so I've seen games like the game we talked about before, Second Galaxy. They sort of like, I suspect that they like use a wrapper and have a very specialized like emulating engine. So it's essentially the Android game just running in a PCXE.
No. But the point I'm saying is like it would hold more weight. Of becoming more global.
Absolutely. So you're not tied to the stores. That means anyone can download it, which is great. Because at the very least, this game definitely looks like it'd be a blast to try.
Do you know what this reminds me of, especially with the melee combat and the female with the katanas, or short swords or whatever they are. It really reminds me of Nier Automata.
Yeah.
And like she even moves like the female character in that.
Well, that's it. You're just like stylizing tribute characters. Isn't difficult in Chinese games.
I don't know what you mean. And like with the sort of rack of swords that sort of hover behind her, there was even a point where that was actually happening in this, and I was like,
I'm sure that this is something that happens in a lot of games.
Oh yeah, we've borrowed your ideas, by the way. Thanks.
We were inspired by your ideas, but in no way are they copies.
Yeah, this is where it's in reverence. We love you so much that we're taking it. Thanks, bye. But
I mean, have you played Nier Automata?
No, I was really interested in it when I saw it at E3 originally.
Yeah.
And then when I actually saw what the bulk of the game was, I was like,
Yeah, it's like
I'm out.
You've got to do multiple playthroughs, and you control like 9, and it's like hacking, shooting mini game, and it's like
Yeah, I mean, you can
I'm like, wait, what the heck's going on here?
You can play with the other two characters, and I think it was the other two. Yeah, and you can. It's more of a sort of traditional hack and whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, just it didn't do it for me.
yeah.
It just content wise wasn't there for me.
Hmm.
I tried to spend my money wisely.
Uh,
I mean, I'm not saying it's not good.
Yeah. But it's like, will you play it enough to make it justifiable for the purchase?
Yeah, I mean, will I even like the combat enough to stick with it for 8 hours or 10 hours or however long it takes for one single playthrough?
Yeah.
Or will I just be bored of going, X, A, X, A, X, A, or whatever the button combination would be, ad infinitum.
Yeah.
Oh, meaning a story dump. Okay, cool. On to the next button, smashing event.
Well, that's it. You need, if your game is all about combat, you need your combat to be compelling. Otherwise,
varied, refreshing, like evolving even.
Yeah. Well, that's part of this with Grey Raven, in that you unlock multiple characters with sort of ranged attacks or whatever, and as you're fighting, you can switch in different characters. So you have to choose characters appropriate to the enemy type, which gives you more strategy. Plus, sometimes you just say, "Well, I'll just switch and just spam attacks from a distance so they can't hurt me."
Mm.
It gives you options for gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's like with that you could potentially have 10 different characters to play the game through from start to finish. If the game works like that.
Yeah.
Which would vary the game completely.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people would say, right, I want to pick the characters that I like the look of, whereas others may say, well, I'm just going to pick whichever have the coolest screen-filling attacks that make it hard to see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, and invariably, based on whatever moves they give them, balance is always an issue. So you always get like a fast character that hits multiple times, which might be weaker than a guy who's just carrying a giant blunt weapon.
Yeah.
And,
they have slower charge attacks, so you have to balance.
Exactly. So
dashing in and out. So.
It's almost like grading the difficulty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in that respect, there might be more to come back to.
Yeah. I'll see if I'm playing the beta, at least just to catch footage and see if it's, because the thing is, if I try it and turns out the gameplay is like non-compelling, then it's like I don't need to follow this game anymore.
Yeah. Global what? No,
this game, it looks good, and that's about it. Anything else to cover? Yeah. So, Control has stuff. If you bought Control, congratulations.
Not only did it win some awards that nobody cares about, because who cares about awards?
Yeah. It's a good game. I should be playing it.
I don't remember the last time I watched a film and was like, oh, has this won an Academy Award? Who gives a shit? I almost scratched my head like years later when I found out like one of the actors won an Academy Award for the role that they played in a film.
And you were like, really?
And I was like,
for that film?
This guy? It's like, yeah, I won't alienate more of our audience by saying a name and then going, he won the... Anyway. Yeah, so Control just recently found out some stuff. Not only is... There was a free content thing, it was like a challenge mode, which came out about a month ago now, which looks pretty awesome and has sort of extended the life of the game until the next DLC, the first DLC comes out, where they're saying it will cost about 15 quid, and there also might be a season pass, because there's news that there might be 2 DLCs.
Yeah, so you get both of them,
Yeah. Also, there's another weird thing. That's coming out in March.
The
DLC. There's also another weird thing that it might have a crossover at some point with Alan Wake.
shared universe. But then again,
So-
it's like, what was Alan Wake about?
That
Well,
was,
having said that, Alan Wake's it had supernatural, the elements, the vaguely supernatural thing.
Yeah.
You just say, oh, it's actually interdimensional aliens. Bang, slap it in the control universe.
I don't know enough about Alan Wake, but I know it was revered as a good game.
And except for we know that that Xbox thing that we talked about was the worst thing ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alan Wake dated badly.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Alan Wake with the control engine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, more control. Who doesn't want that?
No, absolutely. They're sexy game. We need to play it one day. Remedy, send us some review units.
As if. Anyway, that was me.
And that was me. And that was them. And that was it.
And that was your podcast.
Right, let's get out of here. That was the Digital Suffering Podcast. If you'd like to suffer some more, you can find other episodes on Red Circle, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple iTunes, Stitcher, Radio Public, and SoundCloud. Please like and subscribe everywhere.